In August of 1945, the deployment of atomic weapons over two Japanese cities claimed the lives of well over 100,000 people. The vast majority of those lost in a matter of seconds were innocent civilians, men, women, and children. Among the population in Hiroshima on the morning of August 6th was 29-year-old Tsutomu Yamaguchi. He was an engineer nearing the end of a 3-month business trip. His only focus that morning was finishing his final day of work so he could finally return home to his wife and infant daughter. Yamaguchi was walking out of the Mitsubishi Heavy Industries shipyard. It was a massive industrial complex, a dense grid of docks and warehouses where he had spent the last 90 days. As he walked, the drone of an American bomber drew his attention upward. Looking into the bright morning sky, he noticed a small metallic object dropping from the aircraft, slowly descending on a parachute. He stood there for a fraction of a second, watching the object fall, unaware that his ordinary morning commute was about to collide with the first combat use of an atomic weapon. A blinding flash of pure white light swallowed the sky. Before he could react, a massive, invisible shockwave tore through the shipyard, lifting Yamaguchi off the ground and throwing him backward into a nearby ditch. To see how close he was to the center of the detonation, look at this map. The epicenter was just 1.9 miles from where Yamaguchi was standing when the shockwave hit. The immediate physical toll was severe. The pressure ruptured his eardrums. The thermal radiation severely burned the left side of his upper torso, and the intense light left him temporarily blind, lying in the dirt as the heat ignited the shipyard around him. When his vision finally began to return, the city he had walked through moments prior was gone. In its place was a flat, smoking expanse of ash and the skeletal remains of concrete buildings. Surviving the initial detonation was a statistical anomaly, but sitting in the ruins with severe burns, Yamaguchi's only objective was to navigate the wreckage and find a way out of the city. He spent that first night huddled in a makeshift air raid shelter. The next morning, he forced himself to move, joining the throngs of survivors searching for an operational train line that could take him out of the fallout zone. Heavily bandaged and exhausted, he eventually secured a spot on a train heading southwest, away from the destruction and back toward his home. The train moved through the Japanese countryside for 300 miles, carrying Yamaguchi away from the ruins of Hiroshima toward his final stop, Nagasaki. He arrived on August 8th and went immediately to a local hospital. The medical staff wrapping his severe burns were entirely unaware of the weapon that had caused them, or that another one was currently being prepared for their own city. He had survived the first blast and made it home to his family, but as he settled into a hospital bed, the military was already finalizing the coordinates for the second target. On the morning of August 9th, despite being covered in bandages and in immense pain, Yamaguchi inexplicably decided to report for his shift at the local Mitsubishi office. When he walked in, his supervisor demanded an explanation for his injuries and asked about the rumors regarding the total destruction of Hiroshima. Yamaguchi described the blinding light and the leveled city, but his boss refused to believe him. He called Yamaguchi crazy, insisting that a single bomb could not possibly wipe out an entire metropolis. The manager demanded to know what this supposed weapon even looked like. And at that exact moment, the room was consumed by a second blinding flash of light. The weapon that destroyed Hiroshima had followed him home. Just 72 hours after surviving the first blast, he was caught in the center of the second. The Nagasaki detonation was even more powerful than the first, and Yamaguchi was only 1.1 miles away from the epicenter. Yet, because the office building was made of reinforced concrete, the structure absorbed the worst of the shockwave, and he survived again. He staggered out into another leveled city, terrified for his family. But when he finally reached the ruins of his house, he found his wife and infant daughter alive. They had been shielded by a concrete tunnel while out looking for medicine to treat the burns he had suffered in Hiroshima. Across both cities, over 100,000 people were killed. In a landscape of near total loss, Yamaguchi was one of the few to witness both detonations and walk away. Decades later, the Japanese government officially recognized his status as a Niju Hibakusha, a double radiation-exposed person. He remains the only person formally acknowledged as a survivor of both atomic bombings. He spent his remaining decades speaking about the weight of his survival. He became a fierce global spokesperson, appearing at the United Nations to warn the world about the reality of nuclear weapons. Tsutomu Yamaguchi lived to be 93 years old. He was a man who watched the world end twice and dedicated the rest of his life to ensuring that it never happens a third time.